Hey guys, welcome back to another gaming video. Today we are checking out a game called The Babysitter, which you can find this game on itch.io. This game is a graphic novel, visual novel. If you like that kind of games, it's worth it playing it. As you can see by the background, it appears to be a horror game. And it's pretty much being asked to be someone's babysitter. That's what this game is about. I don't know much about it. I don't know what's going to happen. So grab a snack, sit back, and let's jump right into this. Guardian Angel. Elite Child Minding Services. Job postings. Posted 8 hours ago. Babysitter needed. Urgent. Childminder required tomorrow evening for our 12-year-old daughter at Westfield Groves. Reference checks will be conducted. Let's apply. One day later. This suburb, Whitefield Groves, is one of the more exclusive neighborhoods in the city, but it's on the outskirts of town, pretty much in the middle of nowhere. This house, like all the other houses is in this neighborhood, is set far apart from its neighbors. This sure is a nice place, with a well-maintained lawn and a pool, although at this hour, it does seem a little foreboding. It's just about 7 o'clock p.m. and it's already before dark. The house seems quiet. Mrs. Raj, the woman who called you back after you sent in your application, asked you to be here by 7:30 p.m. and had been particular that you be on time. Mrs. Raj told you that she and her husband, Dr. Raj, were going out for the evening, and she didn't want the daughter home alone. The fact that the girl is 12 and requires a sitter indicates that there might be some issues here. Or it could just be that the child doesn't like being alone at home after dark. That's quite normal. Mrs. Rad sounded like a very exacting kind of parent, the type who is very mindful of every aspect of her child's care. She asked you a lot of questions about your background and your qualifications. She seemed pretty finicky. You can't blame her really. These days, most parents, particularly the rich ones, pay a lot of attention to their children's upbringing. It is the nature of our times, and it pays to be vigilant. Since you've been registered with the Guardian Angel Childcare Agency for the last 3 years, you got good references. So, you were pretty confident you would get the gig. It pays well too. Well, you're here. You're about half an hour early, which you hope is not too early for them. You better ring the doorbell to let them know you're here. Ah, yes, of course. You must be the babysitter. I'm Dr. Raj. My wife told me you would be here. You're early. That's great. Do come in. A moment. This music's in and out. I need to mute that music. Okay. Do come in. He steps aside, and you walk into the house. This lounge area overlooks the lawn and the pool through tinted black windows on your left. The floor underfoot is real wood, and the furniture looks like it cost a fortune. I'm so glad we found you on such short notice. Shryla, that's my wife, was quite worried we wouldn't be able to get Sarah on time. You see, I got an invitation to speak at a late evening segment of a medical convention just 2 days ago, and the whole situation came about rather abruptly. Shriver is very particular in whose care we leave Maya, a daughter. We had a bad experience with our last sitter. She is very cautious when it comes to Maya. You sense a mild apology in his tone. Yes, I did feel that interview was quite thorough. It's alright. It's important to do diligence when it comes to such matters. That's very true. I can see why you gained her confidence. I'll go in and tell her you're here. She's just getting ready. I'll then grab my coat and head out to the car. So I'll see you next when we're back. It was a pleasure meeting you. Do make yourself comfortable. Shira will be out in a second. Shira will be out in a second. Dr. Ray leaves you, and you wait for Mrs. Rage, who he referred to as Shira. He seems present, if a little absent, a rather stark difference to Mrs. Raj, who sounded formal and humorless on the car. It must be pleasant here during the day, the glass doors on your left, letting in the natural light. But now at night, the windows look out into the darkness, and the trees bordering the lawn throw deep shadows. It's understandable now why they would not let the child to spend a late evening alone. The house is large and isolated from its neighbors. The neighborhood itself is rather lonesome. Children with active imaginations can easily get distressed after dark in such an environment, every creak and every night sound taking on sinister undertones. Hello there. We had spoken on the phone. Thank you for being early. I appreciate that. As Anna and my husband might have told you, we're attending a medical convention, and he is one of the keynote speakers for the evening. The organizers just called us a few minutes ago and told us that the traffic around the convention center is a nightmare, and that we should start out early if we wanted to get there on time. So now we have to leave half an hour earlier. The organizers seem so, well, disorganized. Her tone is crypt. She is clearly a woman who does not like it when plans go awry or situations get unpredictable. I'm really glad we were able to find a sitter on such a short notice. I know Maya seems quite old to be needing a sitter, but I tried to avoid leaving our daughter home alone if possible. Quite understandable, the house does seem rather foreboding after dark. Yes, children can require supervision even at that age. I suppose so. Myra's actually quite independent. It's just that she's going through a difficult time right now. I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you. Is she okay? Well, we recently moved here from another state about 6 months ago, and Miss Dr. Raj got an offer to be a director at the NHU hospital. We wanted to stay together as a family, so we packed up and shifted our lives. It was a rather abrupt change for Maya, leaving her old friends, her old life, the home she grew up in. She's taking it a little hard. She hasn't made any friends at her new school. She spends a lot of time alone. And then feels guilty about it, because we moved for his work. But the directorship at the NHU hospital is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It was only right for him to accept it. Maya's behavior doesn't make it easier on him, though. Couple that with her overactive imagination, and it can get a little stressful. Change can be hard for children at this age. What kind of behavior are we talking about? Change. This one. Yes, that's true. But you have to understand that Myra's a wonderful child. In fact, she's very bright for her age, which may be part of the problem. She's thoughtful, she reads beyond her years, and she's surprisingly mature for her age. It's just that she still hasn't come to terms with the move. And unfortunately, she's expressing her distress in a rather disconcerting ways. How so? She is struggling with a lot of emotions. She's just turning 12, so she's on the cusp of her teenage years. She's in a new school, and you know how difficult school can be at that age. Hormones, boys, and all the rest of it. Adnan and I are busy for much of the day, but we try to talk to her about her feelings whenever we can. But that's not been going too well. The problem is she refuses to speak plainly about her feelings. Instead, she makes up outlandish stories and lets her imagination run amok, and she tries to draw us all into morbid, make-believe tales. Her counselor says it's a coping mechanism, a kind of stress response adopted by bright children, possibly a way to get attention, perhaps a way of telling us that she wants to leave and go back to her old life. What's troubling is that she's never been this way before. She's normally not an attention-seeking child. Her counselor's probably right. Anything I should be careful about? Any triggers I should... This one. Well, not really. Like I said, she's perfectly normal, and not really a difficult child. She can be a little moody at times, that's all. And she might, if you probe, well, try to scare you with some of her stories. About this house, for example. What kind of stories? Just silly juvenile stuff. The kind kids tell each other when they gather around a campfire and try to scare each other, I suppose. She may have overheard something about this house, and she's latched onto it and blown it out of proportion. It troubles us how morbid and disturbing her imagination can be. About this house, children love dark stories. Why do you think fairy tales are so gruesome? About this house? Yes. I'd rather not go into all of it. It's just nonsense anyway. And besides, that's exactly what she wants. For us to get John into her hysteria. In any case, her counselor also has told us not to engage or react. So if she does try anything, please be patient, be firm, but gentle. What Maya needs now is a little sanity. So about tonight. She's already eating dinner, and her bedtime is at 9, which is just under 2 hours away. The time should pass quickly. There's snacks in the kitchen, if you should eat it. She pauses and appears to be searching for words. I know that I may have come across as a bit severe when we spoke earlier on the phone. I have to be careful about who I choose to care for Maya. She's having a hard time as it is. That's okay. I've done the same if it were my daughter. It was pretty intense, but no offense taken. That's okay. Thank you. I know now that I have nothing to worry about. I'm impressed by your understanding of children. You must be great with them. I'll ask Maya to come in now so you can meet her. You hear voices approach. Shira's and that of lone girls. They are speaking in low voices, but you sense tension and conflict in their voices. The child's tone is brusque and irate, while Shira's tone is stern. This is Maya. Say hi, Maya. Maya? Hi. Her voice is so low you can barely hear it. I was just telling Maya that we were only about 3 to 4 hours. We're only away for about 3 to 4 hours, and that she must go to bed no later than 9. She'll cooperate, of course. Isn't that right, Maya? You sense a warning in her tone. Maya? Yes. That mumbled reply again. It's great to meet you, Maya. Right. We have to be off then. If there's anything, please call. I expect you will be fine. Maya's in good hands. Don't worry, we wouldn't need to. Everything will be alright. Thanks, I'll call if there's anything. Don't worry. Thank you. Goodbye. A few minutes later. Mr. and Mrs. Rad have left. An awkward silence descends on Maya as Maya stares at you. There's about an hour and 30 minutes to go before her bedtime. So, what would you like to do? So, why not watch TV or read a book? You want to talk? Want a snack? You want to talk? No thanks. That awkward silence again. You shouldn't have come. You shouldn't have taken this job. You should leave. Smile, why would you say that? Now, that's not a very polite thing to say, is it? Smile, why should I leave? Because you're not safe here. Go where you can. What am I in danger of exactly? Your parents asked me to watch over you, so I can't leave that just that. If I leave, you'll be alone here. What am I in danger of exactly? I can't tell you because you're not believe me. Nobody believes me. I can take care of myself, don't worry. Maya, how about we talk about something pleasant? Or your hobbies? I can take care of myself, don't worry. Okay, if you say so. I'd like to go up to my room now. Sure, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. Will you be okay by yourself? Do you want me to hang out here instead? Do you want to hang out, this one? I'll be alright. I'm old enough to take care of myself, you know. I told them not to get us there. It's not safe. You mean you think you're not safe with me? Or I'm sure you can take care of yourself, but your parents just wanted to make sure you're okay, that one. My parents don't really care about me. If they did, they would listen to me. They don't. Anyway, I meant it's not safe for you. Yes, you already told me that, but what am I in danger from? Look, Maya, I don't scare easy. How about we talk about something else? What am I danger from? I just want you to leave before something happens to you. It feels like you're going in circles, Ripper. Oh, I can't. You're stuck with me. Why don't you tell me exactly what I'm in danger from? I can't. I know what happens if I do. You'll think I'm crazy. You'll laugh or patronize me. Anyway, at least I tried. I'm heading up to my room now. What are you going to do up there? It's not bedtime yet. It's not bedtime yet. I know. I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to read. Maybe write in my journal for a while. Don't worry. I'm not going to burn the house down or anything. Just... Look, if you're going to leave, then just... Whatever you do, don't go near the basement, okay? No matter what you hear, don't go near it. Please. She leaves you standing alone. Ouch. That didn't go too well. It was just as Miss Raj said. Maya is definitely a troubled child. No sooner had they left than she had began to try to make the situation uncomfortable. You'll just have to ride this out. If she spends the rest of the evening upstairs, things should be fine. You can hang out here in the lounge and pass the time till the parents get back. It should be easy to do. Still, the conversation with Maya has left a bad taste in your mouth. She definitely seems like a bright young girl. It's a pity she's struggling with the pains and changes in her life. But growth only ever comes from change, and that's something she'll learn over time. You decide to lay it out on one of the comfortable couches here. It sure is as comfortable as it looks. You practically sink into the push lever. 10 minutes later. What was that? It came from this floor somewhere. It sounded like a door opening. Did Maya come back down? You call out, but there was no response. Earlier, you heard her go upstairs, but you did not hear her return. The sound came from near the staircase over there. You distantly heard the creak of a door opening. This better not be Maya praying around. There are 3 doors here. The door to your left, the door to your right of the stairs, and there appears to be a door behind the stairs under it. The stairs lead up to another floor, presumably where the bedrooms are. That sound you heard, that creak of a door opening, came from one of these doors. You're sure of it. Call out to Maya. You raise your voice and call her name, but there is no response. You better check the doors. Check the door on the left, check the door on the right of the stairs, check the door under the stairs. Check the door on the left first. It appears to be shut. You should try the door to make sure. Click the door to try it, okay? It's locked. Okay, check the door on the right of the stairs. It's locked. Check the door under the stairs. This door is ajar. This must have been the sound you heard. Through the crack in the doorway, you see only darkness. What are you doing? I told you to stay away from the basement. I don't know where she came from, but that was scary. Jeez, you scared the hell out of me. Jeez, what do you think you're up to? This one. I told you to stay away from the basement. Why don't you listen? Why doesn't anyone listen? Look, drop the act. I know this is some kind of prank. Maya, what exactly is going on? You don't gain anything by doing this. What's that supposed to mean? Are you accusing me of something? I'm not doing anything. You came downstairs and opened the door, didn't you? Yes, you are. Your mother warned me that that you do something like this. You came downstairs? No. What? I just came downstairs now. I heard you calling me and I came down to see why. And I saw you near the basement door, even though I told you not to go near it, no matter what you hear. You're saying I opened it? I think you did it. So who opened the door? It wasn't me, okay? If that's what you're saying. You know what? You're all the same. All of you think I'm lying, even my cancer. I'll bet Ma told you that I'm making up stories. She tells that to everyone, even total strangers. But I'm not making up stories. I bet she didn't tell you what the real estate lady told us about this house. Maya, what's really going on? Maya, maybe it's better you just go up to your room. What's going on? If I tell you, you'll just call me a liar, and you'll accuse me of stuff I didn't do. So, I'm not going to tell you anything. Do whatever you like, but for your own sake, stay away from the basement, no matter what you hear. Alright, I'll bite. What's in the basement? What did the real estate agent tell you about the house? Great. She's gone back upstairs again. This is so not going well. You're just going to have to ride this out somehow until her parents get home. This is definitely getting uncomfortable. No wonder Mrs. Raj is concerned about the grill. Children express stress in varied ways. You've seen this in children who are going through traumatic changes in their lives. The poor grill. You better close the door. Close this door. Not that you're overly alarmed about what Maya said, but the side of the door open is a bit creepy. There, that's better. Back to the comfortable sofa, staring out into the darkness of the lawn. You'll sit tight till her parents get home. A few minutes later. Really? Again? Come on, this isn't funny anymore. Why would she... call out to Maya to stop it. You call out, but there's no response. What the hell is that? Someone crying? It's coming from over there, near the stairs. Maya, are you okay? There is no response. It's coming from the door behind the stairs. Maya? Still no response. This is very agitating. The sound of the weeping is troublesome. The doors open again. The crying is coming from the pitch darkness beyond it. There's no way you're going to open that door. Maya may not be in there ready to spring out and scare you. And you're not up for being jump scared. You don't really want to die of a heart attack on a babysitting gig. That's not what you signed up for. You better shut that door. Here, the crying has stopped. This can't go on. You better put a stop to it now, or she'll keep doing this all night. And by the time your parents are back, you will have died of fright. It's probably a good idea to talk to her, comfort her. You could wait right here until she comes out of the basement. She can't stay down there forever. Or you could go upstairs and wait there. When she sneaks back up, you could catch her in the act, and then talk to her openly about it, about what she's doing and why she is not going to help the situation. I think we'll head upstairs and wait for her. Miss Rad told you to be gentle but firm. Maybe it's time to focus on the firm. A little talk directly and firmly to her. Ask her about whatever's bothering her. Maybe what she needs is direct talk. Sometimes the best way to address something with children is to get to the heart of the problem. She might open up, and that would make things easier for her. There are 3 doors on this side of the hallway. One of these is probably her room. You feel exposed standing here in this hall. She might see you before you see her. Maybe you could wait inside her room for her to get back. That would startle her, and even be a kind of a gentle prank right back at her. Sometimes the best way to get a child to listen is to give them a taste of their own medicine. You should probably try the doors to find out which one is her room. This one. Locked. This must be it. It's a pretty nice room. She's not here. Of course she isn't. She's downstairs, crouched in the basement, perhaps getting ready to make more awful sounds again. Still, you feel a little guilty about being in here. It is, after all, her bedroom, and therefore private. If she doesn't show up in a couple of minutes, you'll leave. Still, it would be good to start her a little. Illustrate what it's like to get jump scared by someone. A pretty neat desk for a 12-year-old. It must be where she spends her time studying and reading. There's an open book on the table. Something about that book draws your attention. It's filled with urgent handwritten text. Curiosity grips you. You really shouldn't be here, in this room, let alone looking at her desk. But something about this writing, about its maniac scar. The writing is dated a couple of weeks ago. You feel compelled to take a closer look. Thursday, the 11th. I heard her again last night, after bath. Mama and Dad had gone to bed. I was lying in bed nearly asleep when I heard the sound of her weeping downstairs. I knew what would come next, and sure enough, I heard the faint shuffle of her footsteps as she made her way up the basement steps and up the stairs. Then she was in the hall outside her room. I heard the squeak of my room door handle turn. I stayed under the blankets, my eyes shut tight. Thank God I had locked the door. It has become a compulsive habit and drives Mom and Dad crazy. I'm going around locking every door in the house, maybe from my anxiety. After a time, she went away. Friday the 12th. At breakfast, I told Mom that I heard the sounds again the previous night. The weeping and the footsteps. Mom glared at me, and Dad didn't even bother looking up from his plate. Mom said, I want you to stop this, Maya. It is becoming tiresome and annoying. There's no one else in this house but the three of us. What about what the real estate lady told us before we moved in here? I blurted. She said, that was a tragic incident, but it happened in this house many years ago. It has nothing to do with us. You're obsessing and imagining things. Ma was almost in tears. I nearly burst out crying. It wasn't always like this. In our old life, before we moved here 6 months ago, they used to listen to me and take what I said seriously. Now they no longer believe anything I say. Oh, how I hate this house. But am I going crazy? Is she real? Am I the only one able to see and hear her? I remember when I first encountered the lady in the basement. It was just after we moved in. I was alone downstairs, and I heard the basement door creak open. I went to check. I went down there and nearly died from terror. I ran upstairs screaming and told Mom and Dad about what I saw. They were alarmed, and Dad searched the basement, and then the whole house, but he found nothing. All he saw in the basement were the old packing boxes stored there. The lady in the basement. How I remember her when I saw her coming up the basement stairs, out of the darkness. I remember a blast of rage and malviolence, and I feared for my life. Another time, a week later, late at night, I heard her weeping downstairs. I ran to Mom and Dad's bedroom and crawled into bed with them, crying. Dad searched the whole house again. He searched the basement, even though I got hysterical and begged him not to, and he found nothing. This happened a couple more times. Now they look at me not with concern, but with suspicion and even anger. Mom thinks, thanks to my counselor, that I'm having some kind of breakdown, brought about by a move across the country and teenage hormones. It's true that I hate the state, I hate my new school, and most of all, I hate this house. I wish we'd never moved here. But could they be right? Could it be true that the trauma of change is driving me insane, making me see things? Seated by that awful story the real estate lady told us about what happened in this house all those years ago. Am I going crazy? Some nights I lie in bed wide awake, waiting for the sounds from the basement to start, frozen in terror. Friday the 27th. Okay, so I'm not the only one who hears Caesar, which means I'm not going crazy. But it also means the situation is dangerous. Yesterday, Mom and Dad had to attend a party phoned by an old friend of Dad's. I think it was one of those boring old adult parties where everyone stands around sipping drinks and talking late into the night. So they hired a sitter, a sweet 22-year-old girl, Nadia, who goes to the BH college nearby. I really liked her. She was so pretty. I was up here and it was around 9 when I heard her scream. I ran downstairs and found her cowering behind the sofa, her face ashen. She was pointing towards the basement door, and I knew at once that Nadia had seen her too. I asked Nadia what happened. She said that she heard the basement door opening. Then a few minutes later, the sound of someone weeping. She thought it was me, and she went to investigate. She opened the basement door wide open, and she... Oh, that scared the heck out of me. Hey, just what do you think you're doing in here? You're reading my diary? That's so creepy. I'm going to call my mom. I should have locked my door. I went to the bathroom, and just for once, I didn't lock my room. And see what happens? Please leave my room. Well, wait, I was in here to scare you. Instead, you got me again. Wait, I heard those sounds too, from the basement, the weeping. Is this something that better prank? Where were you, this one? Oh God, you shouldn't be in this house. The last year, it didn't go too well for her. You should leave this house now. What happened to the previous sitter? Tell me about this lady in the basement. What was the story of the real estate? What happened to the previous sitter? I guess you mean Nadia? She saw the lady in the basement. That's how I think of the thing down there, in caps. Nadia heard the crying. She thought it was me, and she went down to the basement to investigate. When I found her, she was screaming hysterical. I could barely understand what she was saying. She said that the woman came at her. She called my ma and told her that she was leaving the house. She didn't want to stay a moment longer. Ma was furious and asked her why, but Nadia would not say why. I mean, it sounds crazy when you talk about it out loud, so I don't blame her. Also, I think Nadia didn't even want to think about what she saw, let alone talk about it. She was so shaken. Nadia was up here with me when Ma was talking to her on the phone. She just listened to Ma wordlessly, and then she left without a word. When Ma came home, she was furious with me. With you? Yes, she thought I subject Nadia to my wild tales and scared her away. That's why I didn't want to tell you anything about all this. I just wanted you to stay away from that basement. Because I knew you wouldn't believe me, and because I didn't want Ma to say that I scared you away. Tell me about this lady in the basement. I heard the sounds about a week ago when we moved in here. First, the basement door kept opening by itself, always when I was alone in the lounge. I was too scared to go near it, so I kept ignoring it. I thought it was maybe a draft. Once it opened when Ma was with me, and she just shrugged and said that the door was stiff and so it sprang open. She said we would get it fixed. But then one day, I heard the weeping, and I could not help myself. I went to the door, and I went down there, and I saw her. I've been living in terror ever since. I hear her sound some nights. Sometimes she just weeps. Other times she wanders the house. Nobody believes me. Mom and Dad think I'm making up to get to them to leave here and go back to our life. I don't know what the lady in the basement wants. I don't even know what she is. But when I saw her, I sensed such rage, such despair. I know she wanted to harm me, even kill me if she could. But I know at once who she was. She was a lady from the story about that the real estate woman who got us this house told us. What was the story? Before we moved here, Dad wanted to find a place near the hospital where he's working. So he got in touch with this real estate firm, and she showed them a bunch of houses. Ma didn't like any of them. Finally, the agent told them that she had one more place on her file. She brought us here. Ma loved the place once. It was spacious. It had a nice lawn and a pool. 2 floors. What's not to love? Even better was the rent. I remember how Dad was very happy about how cheap the rent was considering its size. The only issues with the house, Ma said, was that even though it's part of this suburban property, Whitefield Groves, it looked very run down. That was when the real estate agent told Dad and Ma the story. She said that the last long-term residents lived here nearly a decade ago. A family of 3. The man was some kind of businessman, and he used to travel a lot. His wife was a housewife, and they had a 4-year-old girl. The wife had some kind of ongoing mental disorder. Depression, I think. Some kind of psychosis. She would hear voices or see things. She was taking medication for it. At one point, she began to believe that her husband no longer loved her. At one point, she began to believe that her husband no longer loved her. that he was plotting to kill her. It could have been the long hours alone, or maybe she was slowly descending into madness. But at some point, she broke, and in a moment of madness, she killed her daughter and herself. I asked the real estate agent in which room she had done it, and she said she didn't know. But I think I have a pretty good idea where it happened. The house stayed vacant for a long time. Bad mojo, I guess? There have been a couple of residents in between, but most stayed for a short time, then moved on. I guess they either saw something or felt uneasy. The house has been empty for almost 3 years before we moved in. That's pretty crazy. Has your mom and dad seen it or heard anything? If this is... It's not going to be a prank. Okay. Has mom and dad seen anything? No. They said they haven't. Maybe they have. Maybe they're just blocking it off or something, or spraying it away. I'm pretty sure they haven't heard that horrible crying. You wonder how any of this is possible. Could any of this be real? Do you believe me now? Yes, I do. Well, thank you. It's great that at least someone doesn't think I'm crazy. I've been living with this for a while now. I'm losing weight. The counselor at school thinks it's because of the move and the change in my life, but I know why it is. It's hard for me to concentrate in class. I keep thinking about her, off of the madness that drove her to kill her own daughter and take her own life, and I get scared. What if I go mad like that? Maybe that's what she wants. Did you try telling the counselor about the truth about all this? I did. How do you think it went? He started talking about putting me on medications. I don't want that. I don't want to be put on one of those kids I don't want that. I don't want to be one of those kids, a walking zombie hopped up on prescription drugs. So after that, I went with his story. Yeah, it was the change. Poor old Maya. This is old school and her friends. Look, just leave, okay? Leave this house and go. I'm stuck and I have no choice, but you do. I won't leave you alone. I'll wait for your parents. You're right. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I won't leave you. That's nice of you, but it's dangerous. I can't ask you to do that. What if something happens to you? Nadia, the babysitter, I think she saw something terrible down there. Sometimes I think that maybe the lady in the basement is looking for her child. Maybe mothers who hurt their children are never able to forgive themselves, even after they die. You should go. Ma will probably blame me again, but I'll handle it. I told you I'm not going to leave you here alone. I'll wait until your parents are back. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. And brave. I wish I was that brave. Would you mind if I go to bed now? I like to try and sleep. I'm very exhausted. Sure. Good night. Try to get some sleep. Well, you're back downstairs again. You're going to sit tight. You know you're doing the right thing. No matter what, it wasn't right to abandon her and free. Not when her parents asked you to watch her. The kid is alright after all, and leaving her alone while her parents are away, especially after they entrusted her in your care, just didn't feel right. And if any of this is true, the insane story about the woman in the basement, why, you're going to have to deal with whatever comes. Time passes. Nothing so far. Crap, here we go. Footsteps from somewhere down below, from the basement. The basement door. That was the basement door again. You've got to see this through. You're not running away. You have to find out the truth, even though your heart's running so hard that you feel it might crash. Can any of what Maya said be true? It's wide open. The sounds are coming from down there. A smell comes wafting up, a vital stench of corruption of something long gone to rot. The smell is overwhelming, overpowering. It hits you like a fist. What terrible thing walks down from there? Go down the stairs. It's pitch dark. That smell, it's unbearable here. It's difficult to think. There are moldy boxes piled up in the center of the room. Who's there? You feel a sense of forbidding. A suffocating blackness overwhelms you. Darkness descends, crowding your mind. You cannot move, cannot even breathe. Terror grips you. A despair unlike anything you've ever known fills you. You sink into it, grief rising like a black tide. You find yourself slumped on the sofa in the lounge. Your head aches, your hands are shaking. You spring to your feet. Ah, you're up. When did you get back? About 10 minutes ago. We found you downstairs in the basement of all places. You were lying on the floor passed out. Maya told us to look for you there. When we got home, we found Maya upstairs quite shaken. She was near hysterical. She told us that she heard you scream and that you might be hurt in the basement. It took us a lot of effort to calm her down. She kept saying it was her fault, that she should have not accepted when you insisted you stay. She said that you talked to her about what she calls the lady in the basement. She said that you told her you believed her. It's shameful that you would encourage her like this, play along with the delusions of a child. Sheila will be here in a moment. She wants to talk to you before you go. Goodbye. Hey. Ma will kill me if she sees me talking to you. But I had to see you before you left. Did you see her, the lady? Did you see her? Yes, I did. I knew it. I knew it. You see, I was telling the truth. Thank you for believing me. I'm so glad you're not hurt. I can't believe you stayed on despite what you knew. I know that must have taken a lot of courage. That means a lot. Maybe I can be like that and have that kind of courage too. You're courageous already. Thank you. Well, I really have to go now before Mars sees me talking to you. She'll come down hard on you. That's just the way she is. Don't feel bad. Until she sees it too, she'll never believe. I'm sorry all this happened to you. You never asked for this. Will you be okay? Well, I know I'm not crazy now. And you went down there and faced her. I'm going to try and face my fears and be brave too. Thank you for showing me that I can. Bye. I must say, I am sorely disappointed. We put you in charge of looking after her. And Anad finds you lying passed out in the basement. He says you weren't drunk or on drugs, but I find that hard to believe. At least you stayed on, unlike our last sitter, who left the child alone and fled. But I'm not sure I should be grateful for that considering the situation. You encouraged my daughter's sick fantasy, and you've probably set back our progress with her by weeks in doing so. Your daughter's in line, there may be someone or something in this house. I don't know, I don't believe at first, but she's not lying. Really? So she dragged you into her hysteria and you believed all of it? This is exactly what her counsel warned us not to do. Since you work with children, I thought you would know better. There's nothing wrong with me. It's this house. I guess, I don't know. Sure. This one. Goodbye. We'll be passing on our feedback to your agency. Well, that didn't go as you planned. You've been shown out rather unceremoniously. Mrs. Raj was cruelly furious. So was Dr. Rad. But what Maya said, what you saw in there, that sense of abject despair that washed over you in the dark. As you leave, you turn to look at the house. You think of all that happened. And you wonder. One week later, babysitter needed. The end. So this wraps up the game called The Babysitter. So yeah, maybe one day the parents will leave their daughter, and maybe they'll come to the conclusion that she's not insane. Maybe she's actually is seeing things, and they'll get out of Dodge and find a new house to live in. So yeah, if this is something you like this game, I'll leave the link in the description of you can check out the game yourself. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.